Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of MLS After Dark. It is week 7 of MLS action, and Matt Doyle and I are here to break down another crazy day of soccer in MLS. It felt like there were about a million matches going on at once,
Mhm.
Doyle. Still catching my breath a little, but how are you feeling? What are we drinking?
I have a Fernet. Um, my years in the Bay Area taught me to like that one. Yeah,
Classy. That's so it's like that is, for those of you that don't know, Fernet is meant to be kind of like an after dinner drink that like settles your stomach. Is that correct?
yeah. I think that's about right. What are you drinking? Boat drink?
I have got you know what? This is hysterical. I'm I'm a little hillbilly right now. I have so much body armor that Body Armor sent me because they have been I've been doing a lot of Instagram lives with them, and they're one of our MLS partners, and they were like, hey, do you need some product? I was like, yep. So they sent me, I'm not kidding, like 10 boxes of Body Armor.
Hell
So I have all of this Body Armor, and it's delicious, by the way, but you add a little vodka to that,
yeah.
and I figure I'm getting hydrated while I'm cocktailing. So this is like, a win-win for me. Like maybe less of a hangover. I don't know, but I feel good about it.
Well,
So this
body armor has a lot of potassium, and that's what you
it
need
does.
at hangovers. So, like, I think you might
Exactly.
have hit on
Just
something.
negating. I'm just negating something. Anyway, it's delicious, and I think that it is the perfect thing to accompany our MLS After Dark chat, Matt Doyle, and we've got a ton to talk about. But
Mhm.
let's talk about, I guess, can we call it the biggest news of the night? Our very own Tom Bogert, Tommy Scoops, breaking news as always. According to his report, Matt Doyle, the San Jose Earthquakes and head coach Matias Almeyda set to part ways. This is per sources. Ownership and coaching staff working towards an agreement to move on. Discussions remain amicable. Now, we kind of had a feeling that this was coming. And there was some speculation that ahead of tonight's game against Nashville, that this could be the last game that Almeyda would coach with the Quakes. What's your reaction to this news? Surprise, not surprise? Just how you feeling?
Well, I mean, there was good reporting leading up to this, right? Like, shout out to the guys at Quakes Epicenter, our guy Jay Moore and Colin and the rest of the gang have been on this for a while, and they reported earlier this week that it seemed to be coming to a head, and then Tom broke the news that it's in the process now of like a mutual amicable agreement to part ways. So I think that probably means they found the right number for both ownership and
Sure.
for Matias Almeyda and his staff. Um, and it's about time. Look, Matias Almeyda accomplished pretty great things at Chivas over his 4 years there. He won
Mm-hmm.
5 trophies. Um, one was a league title. I think 2 were Copa MX. Uh, one was maybe a Campeón de Campeones. So like he wins, but if you look at he wins in tournaments, right? This team is very difficult to play against in tournaments, but if you look at them in the regular season, even when he was in Liga MX, it was not great. It was like he had one pretty good season, like really good season with Chivas, and
Mm-hmm.
the rest of it was at or below 500. And that's it's just the way he wants his team to play defense does not work in the modern game. And every team they have gone up against this year has only reinforced that point to the point that I mean, it was pretty absurd to watch them go out there and give up the same type of goal week after week. After the Hani Mukhtar goal tonight, he just gets on the ball
Yeah.
and he dribbles 70 yards up the gut, because if you're man marking, then one missed tackle means it's a jailbreak.
Mm-hmm.
The Quakes give up 20 of those goals a year. So I wish Matias Almeyda luck. I think he's going to have his choice of jobs, given the way things are at Chivas right now, and given the way things are with the Chilean national team, which he's been rumored to have
Mm-hmm.
interest in and have interest in him. Um, he seems like a great, passionate dude, and his teams were super entertaining. So good luck. But if you're a Quakes fan, um, I think you're probably pretty relieved and very hopeful that whoever the next coach is going to bring a little bit of sanity and a lot more solidity to that lineup, because it did
Ugh,
be as wild as
they
it.
gave me whiplash. Like from the time that Matias Almeyda started as a head coach there, like it was such a roller coaster, like I mean
Mhm.
it was at times it was some of the most fun, entertaining soccer to watch, but just in at other times, just like to your point, like incredibly infuriating and wildly inconsistent. And I think it's going to be very interesting if you, I mean, where do the Quakes go from here? What's the next move? How do you start to stabilize? I mean, I imagine like the head coaching search has probably, been sort of, they probably have a few names
Mhm.
circled, but you need to, that stability, that sense of stability needs to start now. So like how do you smooth over this transition, and what do you think the next few months looks like for the
Yeah,
Quakes?
it's a really good question. What I will say is, like, I actually like this roster that Chris Leach has put together over the past year or so since he really took the reins. Um, there are some places where it's a little thin. They could use another left back. I think they could use a little bit more depth in central defense. But like, this roster is, I think, pretty straightforward. So
Yeah.
I hope that what they do with the coaches they interview is, don't don't tell me what you need to make
Hmm.
it better. Tell me how you're going to make the team we already have in the clubhouse better, because they don't need a ton of tweaks, man. If you look at that front three with Jeremy Abobasi, who's now among the Golden Boot leaders, and Cade Cowell and Christian Espinosa, like, that is a really good front three. Jameer
Hmm.
been a good number 10 in this league for a long while. They have some work to do in deeper midfield until they get Judson back, but like, the pieces are there to be a really competitive team. So I think what they have to do um, is find someone who kind of recognizes that and is willing to be pragmatic with it. There will be, I assume, the interim will be from within the club. The assistant coach is his former director of methodology, a Spaniard whose name I'm just completely blanking on right now. Probably going to be the guy to get it for the interim. But like Ian Russell, who used to be an assistant for the Quakes and was a head coach at Reno in USL before they shut down, who was a Quakes affiliate, he's a decent bet. Hugo Perez, who's been so wonderful with El Salvador during World Cup qualifiers, and actually has an academy out in the Bay Area. He's a decent bet as well. But like, it's not going to be an overhaul, whoever it is, in
Yeah.
terms of personnel, but it has to be an overhaul in terms of play style, because man marking is a gimmick. It
Yeah.
does not work in the modern game, and we've got 4 years of data on that right now.
Yeah, now it's it's really really good point. Will be very interesting to see what sort of comes of this coaching situation. It was, and by all, it was a decent result for San
Mhm.
Jose tonight as well. That's the thing. They were playing against a good Nashville team. We know that Nashville is good defensively. Set pieces continue to be their Achilles heel, but you love to see Jeremy Abobasi scoring a
Yeah,
brace. I mean, I feel like that is a player, kind of to your point. I mean, with such a high ceiling, we know what he's capable of. And given the sort of right direction, the right system, I mean, that's a guy, he could score 20 goals a season. I
it,
mean, he legitimately could. He's that talented, Doyle.
yeah,
There's
the,
no reason. No
yeah.
reason.
The
So
cover's not bare. The cover is
it's
not bare at all.
so yeah, I think I'm hopeful. I feel hopeful for San Jose, and I think that this is, I'm sounds like, it was just kind of one of these situations where it's like, it's not working out, let's let's move on, and keep it friendly. So we'll see. For the result for Nashville tonight, I thought was interesting because, by all accounts, getting a point on the road when you're in the midst of this like mega road trip to start the season, you probably would feel good about it. But to me, Doyle, I think Gary Smith is going to be pissed off about not winning this game.
Yeah, I think so, and I look, the result is obviously going to bother him, but the fact that they gave up 2 more set piece goals,
Yeah.
it's got to be killing him. And like, well, one of them, this one at least was like a direct free kick, though. I think that when they go over that in film session, Joe Willis will probably not be particularly happy with himself. That's correctable, or should be.
Yeah.
Just giving up another, like losing the first ball on a corner and giving up a goal that is stabbed in via a scrum, like that keeps happening to Nashville, who should be the most dominant aerial team in the league. And it's like they just switch off on set.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as if they were half decent on set pieces, they they would be like they would be running away with it. We would have them at the
Oh.
top of the power rankings, but they just can't. It should be the easiest thing for this team is to dominate on restarts, and they can't do it. So I think it'll be less the result and more the fact that like it's just the same old thing again. It's crazy.
I know it is. It is wild. I don't really. It is puzzling. I don't really understand how they've not been able to correct it. But I mean, again, it's a point on the road. They're still in pretty good position, considering that they've got one road game remaining before their home opener in a couple weeks. Geodis Park, Doyle. I got to go there to check it out this past week. It's awesome. It's going to be loud as hell, and it's going to be a really, really fun experience. So I think that they've set themselves up pretty well, but again, it's just you just don't know. You don't know if those 2 points are going to be real important. Come when do playoffs start this year? God, November? I can't remember honestly. October.
I think it's over. Yeah.
Good Lord. It's all confusing to me. Everything's shifted, but yeah, they're doing, they're getting the job done. And again, it's not getting a point on the road is not a terrible situation. So, just observations. Okay. Let's see. What else should we talk about? How about, Montreal and Vancouver? How about that match? Because this was the first one of the day. Montreal ended up winning this one 2-1, and really they came out. I mean, it was just they scored super early on. Georgi Mihailovic continues to just kind of blow my mind this season. He's such a special player, and he makes it look so easy. But this was also like Vanni Sartini came out after the game and he was just pissed off. He was pissed off at his team. He was like, why don't we start the game well? Why is it, it takes us 15 minutes to get into a game. And he's 100% right. They've got to be super frustrating. But for me, the story of this game was Georgie, who had a goal and an assist. And I think there's an article up on our homepage right now, Georgi Mihailovic for MLS MVP this year. But Doyle, it's legit. I mean, he's playing so well.
Yeah, he's going out there every week and, not just producing, but being arguably the best player on the field every week. And that's what an MVP is, right? A guy who can kind of lead a team like that. And what he's so good at is his decisiveness in sort of finding space. Especially he's just so good off the ball. As soon as a defender turns their head, boom, he's going to be in that space behind them.
Yeah.
As soon as a defense gets disorganized, he understands where the next space is, and he's going to play that killer pass. And that's exactly what happened on the assist. It's just so good. He has elevated his game to a level that if you had told me this 2 years ago, I never would have seen this coming, but he's arguably been the best player in the league, which is why we have a thing on the homepage that says for MVP.
Literally, it says Georgi Mihailovic, an MVP frontrunner.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not necessarily words that you would have thought you'd be saying at this point in the season, but
and he's awesome last year, but he going a level up from awesome to literal MVP frontrunner.
Mm-hmm.
That is the hardest jump to make, right? Because we've seen a lot of good young players go from being oh yeah, he's got potential, he's a good young player, he shows flashes, to oh, this guy's awesome.
Yeah.
But to go up that one more level beyond that, There's never any guarantee with that, and it's what he's doing.
What have you seen? What's different? And what has the jump been? Even from, you said he had a remarkable season last year, but what has made him even better in 2022?
I think he's a little bit more decisive, finding space in and around the box. And I think part of that comes from the fact that he's not being asked to play different roles or fill different roles or play in different formations. Like, they're playing the same formation every time out. They're playing a 3-4-2-1, and he's on that 2 line. They're both playmakers. And he's been on that left side every time out. So that level of consistency, even as some of the pieces are changing around him, but that level of consistency in terms of being in that spot on the field and sort of operating from there. And it's also a spot where he can sort of turn to face the field a lot. And he's always able to scan in front of him, and map the field. So I think that, look, this is, Georgie deserves like all the credit, but like Wilfred Nancy deserves part of all that credit as well, because he has figured out, like, one of the simplest ways to be a good coach is to put players in a position to succeed and then keep them there. And That's exactly what Wilfred Nancy has done with this team. And it's not just paying off for Georgie, it's paying off for this whole team. They've won, 3 in a row. They're unbeaten in 4. Obviously, they had a slow start to the year, but that was because of CCL. Like, they spent everything in CCL, and now that they're out of that, they're looking like one of the better teams in the East.
I was just going to say, like, when you sort of compare them to, some of the top teams in the East, like a Philadelphia, who we will talk about, who got their first loss today. But, are they a contender in the East for you?
They're a playoff team.
A playoff team.
Yeah, I don't think this is a team that's going to end up at the top of the conference, and we kind of saw that in the second half, right? Like, they ended up holding on for dear life at the end. They had a Vancouver equalizer was correctly VAR'd off.
Yeah.
But like, if you're a contender, you bury that Caps team after you go up 2-0. You don't leave the door open for them to come back in. So the team, Montreal still has a ways to go before I think we can realistically talk about them at the top of the conference. But last year they were knocking on the door of the playoffs.
Yeah.
They're going to get in. This year they're going to be a playoff team.
Comfortably in the playoffs for Montreal. All right. What about Vancouver? It's been, it's not been great. It's not been great. And I will say they looked a lot better in the second half. The subs came on and did a pretty decent job of at least making this game competitive. But what's missing? What's missing from Vanni Sartini's team?
The starting midfield. I think they were counting on Caio Alexandre to give them, 2,000 minutes at least from the start of the season. And he, for various reasons, he wasn't able to be there at the start of the season. And then just this past week, he broke his hand and he's out for 6 weeks. So that's one. And the other one is they were reported this past week, another Tommy scoop, that they're about to bring Andres Cubas, a Paraguayan international D-mid, in sometime within the next couple of weeks before the window closes. And that's great. But good Lord, could they use that guy right now?
Yeah.
So they're essentially playing a couple of backups in central midfield, and you can get away with one, but like playing your second string for 8 straight games at the start of the year, that's not great. So that's one thing too, is injuries. Ryan Gauld has not been the same guy that he was last year. Brian White just got his first goal today. Those guys have both been nicked up a little bit, and 3 is underperformance, and this is, I think, the worrying one, because like Javane Brown was really good last year.
Yeah.
Really, really good. He has been maybe the worst player in the league so far this year.
Oof.
It's like, it pains me to see him regress this hard. And like I tweeted, like, I almost feel bad for the Caps, because like you can plan, you can build depth and you can plan for certain things, and you can prevent against like injuries to a degree. And like, okay, if a guy gets injured, you have to, but like Javane Brown's the same guy he was last year. So like, of course you're going to, say, okay, he's just slumping a little bit, and give him a chance, run him out there and give him a chance to discover his form. but then he rewards you with whatever it was he was doing today. My God, like I don't know I don't know what to say there, and I don't know what to
No.
do. You know,
Oh,
so
that's brutal.
hopefully, they just need like 4 or 5 guys
Oh, just
to
that's it.
start playing
That's it.
better. And it's like, whoo, that's
Man.
it feels like preseason, right?
Oh man.
It's really rough.
All right, that's bleak. I'm sorry I asked. Okay, let's move it along to something a little bit more fun. This one was crazy. This was a crazy, crazy match that we saw in DC, our nation's capital. DC hosting Austin. This one was, we had a weather delay. We had a little bit of everything in this one, but there was an Ola Kamara brace to
Mm-hmm.
start this one, followed by an Ola Kamara red after a second yellow card. So they're down to 10 men. And then we saw Austin, who were down 2-0 in the 80th minute, basically score 3 goals in 10 minutes and come back to win this game, which is just, I mean, if that isn't MLS After Dark energy,
Bottoms
I
up,
don't know what
bottoms
is,
up,
Doyle.
bottoms
I
up.
don't know what is. I'll drink to that. In fact, I'm going to take a
Mhm.
little swig right now.
I feel really bad for Ola Kamara because
Oh,
the first yellow card, he took his, he lifted his shirt to tribute to his grandmother who had just passed. It's
I mean, that
lovely.
seems so unfair.
It
Like,
does. I hate the rule, but it's 20 years old now, right? Like the rule that you get a yellow card for taking your shirt off. It's been in place for 2 decades. It's a bad rule,
it's a
but
bad rule, but it's been there. Yeah, it's not like it's new.
everybody knows what it is,
Yeah.
and it oof, oof.
That's a oof. That is just a big oof.
Yeah.
Well, here's, I mean, he probably thought about that and was like, I'm okay getting a yellow card, but like certainly didn't anticipate picking up a second yellow card, which just seemed kind of like reckless to me. It's like, bro, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
I think he forgot that he had gotten a yellow
Well,
card.
also, like if you are already missing Almeyda ball to an extent, like DC United have that same level of chaos in them. Uh, because the way Ola Kamara got his second yellow card was he was all the way down on the end line, trying to contain, the DP attacking midfielder for Austin. Trying to shield the ball out and like make a center back's tackle. It's like, why do you have your center forward down there
Like
doing?
it did make no sense.
It's pure chaos, and like that's how this game out. And like he had a brace in the first half, he got sent off, and then it just the wheels fell off for DC down the stretch, and I think Bill Hamid's going to look back at that third goal and probably not be too happy with himself because he definitely should have done better there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean for Austin though, I mean this is a big point for them on the road. They had those two big wins to start the season and then kind of came
Yeah.
crashing back down to reality. But this is Austin FC. They are the sixth team in MLS history to win a match after entering the 80th minute, trailing by 2 goals. And the first since Orlando did it against Portland back in April of 2018.
Mm.
So good on Austin. We love the chaos. Just fitting for a night like tonight. So yeah, thank you for giving us some good MLS After Dark energy on this Saturday, Austin. We had okay. This is let's move it along to New England against Charlotte because we have. Woo, it's not been good. It's not been good for the reigning Supporters Shield holders, but they managed to snap a 4-game losing skid against Charlotte, a 2-1 win. They had goals from Adam Buxa and Matt Polster. Polster also had a really nice assist on Adam Buxa's goal. And last week, Bruce Arena was speaking about the sort of troubles that they've been having, and he kind of was like, he said it was like a combination of things. It was, injuries, and then kind of was like guys who need to step up aren't stepping up. How did this performance tonight, did this win against Charlotte, Doyle, for you restore any confidence a bit How we feeling?
It was their best performance of the year. I think
Okay.
they really didn't allow Charlotte. Like Charlotte's one goal was a golazzo. Um,
Mm.
they didn't. The Revs didn't allow much, even though Charlotte had a ton of possession. They were getting that goal from Buxa, who has not scored or had not scored entering this game. Um, Getting that goal from Buxa is obviously huge. It was not vintage 2021, supporter shield winning Revs, but it was just a much better, more solid effort. I still have questions though. Like
Yeah.
tactically, they ask just so damn much of Matt Polster defensively because like they will just empty that midfield and let
Hmm.
you throw multiple runners at him, and ask him to put out every fire. And to his credit, he basically did that tonight. But that is, I mean, that is how the Revs have gone out in the playoffs each of the last couple of years. It's
Yeah.
how Pumas overran them, in the second game of that CCL quarterfinal. Uh, like Bruce Arena needs a come to Jesus moment on that particular tactical setup because
Oh,
like one guy can't do the defensive work for three. He just can't.
Bruce Arena and the come to Jesus moment. Wow. I don't even know what that would look like. Going back to Adam Bookstead, this seems like a guy who, he's very, we know he's like, he's streaky, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's his goals seem to come in bunches. And if he's a guy that, like, I think you said it was like getting this goal tonight was huge for him because if he kind of gets a little bit of that confidence and a little bit of just sort of that sense for goal, you have to think that there's going to be a few more coming because that's the type of player he is. How much can they rely on that? Like, can they at this point? Is it still a big question mark? How is the service into books though?
Yeah, it was a little better than it had been. I thought they moved the ball a little bit quicker, and if you move the ball quicker and you generate chances, Books will be on the end of them. Now
Yeah.
he doesn't always finish them, but I like a striker who's in the right place at the right time, even if his finishing can go wayward. I think you can count on that.
Okay. Okay. I
The
think
guy
that's
who has 15 goals in him. The nice bonus is that I thought Justin Rennicks had another very nice game tonight after his good game against Miami last week, and that's important as well because
mhm.
the Revs have not done a great job of developing academy players at all. So having him out there giving good minutes, making it a little less painful to be without Gustavo Bo, without Josie Altidore, really. That's pretty good too. And if you have runners like that and a number 10 in Carlos Heel who can create out of nothing, then like that's a pretty good formula. And so I'm not super worried about the Revs in attack. I am still worried about them defensively when they go up against a good team.
Okay. On the other side of this one, Charlotte, they're still looking to get their first point away from home. And last week, Taylor Twellman kept saying he was driving this point home on the broadcast of their match last week against Atlanta and saying, like, look, if Charlotte can win at home and
Uh,
continue to get points at home and then find ways on the road to maybe like pick up a point here or there, then it's entirely possible that they could find themselves in that playoff conversation come the end of this season. But they have not been able to do that yet. Doyle, are you optimistic that that's going to be a formula that they can crack at some point? Do they have the talent? What do you think?
I don't think they have the talent. No,
Yeah.
I think they. I mean, I like what I've seen from their coach. I think he like that. This team looks really well drilled and really well organized, but they don't have much in the way of game breaking talent.
Yeah.
And the defense is so slow. Like those guys are at a disadvantage against basically any starting caliber forward in this league, just in terms of being able to move.
Yeah.
So it's tough. But that said, they got what 3 wins already?
Yeah.
Three wins out of 7 or 8. Like that's not bad at all for an
No,
expansion.
it isn't.
So
Is not better than I thought they'd be doing. Well,
I,
Doyle, you know
I
what
think
they say.
Cincinnati
Listen,
have
I
that as well. By the
it's
way.
fan. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Charlotte fans. Doyle, all good things must come to an end. And it is not the end of the Spaces, but it is the end of Philadelphia's unbeaten run to start the 2022 season. It came to a screeching halt against Toronto FC, who are suddenly appear to have, I don't know, turned a corner. Is that fair to say? Can we say that about Toronto yet?
I don't think so. I mean,
No?
they've done a better job getting results, and Alex Bono had a really nice game tonight. He had one absolutely spectacular save. I forgot who it was on, but it was one of the best saves I've seen all year. But like they did not control this game. They they were dancing on the knife's edge basically this entire game, and they got a little bit bailed out by the Union's forwards not finishing. The thing that Toronto have going for them is that in Alejandro Pozuelo, Jimenez, the new forward that they have, like they have two guys who could just go out there and win you a game, right? Like that's you were asking about like Charlotte's ability to kind of do that.
Yeah.
They don't have guys like that.
Yeah.
Toronto have a lot of faults. They're not a great team right now. They have high end talent who can just ruin you, no matter how good you are. Like these guys can have a moment that like you can't prepare for that, and that's what happened tonight.
Yep. I will say both of those goals though for Toronto were very, very pretty. They were very pretty. So if aesthetically it was checking all the boxes for me. So that was great. Let's talk about the challenge from Jaden Nelson on Kai Wagner, because this happened in, I believe, like the 19th or 20th minute. Like I saw this and I thought, like, I was like, oh, it's a straight red, Doyle, like immediately. But it was not. It was not a red card according to the referees. But I really thought Toronto got very lucky there, because I think that they should have been down a man for sure.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. And you know, I'm looking forward to what the clowns on instant replay decide.
always giving the plug for instant replay. No, that was it looked nasty to me. And
Yeah.
usually I'm like very fair in these situations. I was like, oh hell no. But yeah, I think for Philadelphia, I mean, I think this was just a it's nothing to worry about. It's a loss on the road. I mean, it happens. It was bound to happen at some point this season. Do you still feel like Philly are in pretty good shape? Because they've been really, really solid.
This doesn't change the way I feel about the Union. Like we kind of knew who they were entering into the season, and the variable for them is can any of their forwards finish consistently?
Yeah.
And like, look, Julian Carranza got another goal today. That's very nice. But that question remains unanswered. I think even if the answer to that is no, this is still a team that can end up on 55 points.
Yep.
If the answer to that is yes, this is a team that can end up on 65 points. And that's the difference between, you know, maybe getting a home game in the playoffs and being the number one seed and maybe getting another supporter shield.
All right. Okay, let's chat about Minnesota and Colorado. Minnesota win this one 3-1. This was the first time all season, Doyle, that they have scored multiple goals in a game. It's just not, scoring has not come easy for them this season, but this was by far the best performance I've seen from them in the attack. What did you see from Minnesota? What was the difference tonight?
Babella Reynoso.
Yeah.
He's been sleepwalking through the first 6 games of the season. You know, like this is a guy who was second to Carlos Heel in virtually every chance creation statistical category. We had key passes into the box, passes in the final third, you know, expected assists, all of those. He played at borderline MVP level. He wasn't even in the top 100 entering. Coming out of this game, he had 3 assists. They scored 3 goals. He had 3 assists. He played his best game of the year. They played their best game of the year. Um, None of this is surprising, right? Like
Right.
the whole point of having a heliocentric attack, everybody revolves around this one guy, is that one guy is so good that you are always just one pass away from a goal. And turns out that was the version of Babelo Reynoso they got tonight. And I loved it because he's one of the most fun players in the league to watch. And I know that those fans in Minnesota loved it as well. The ones in Colorado, not as much.
Yeah,
Not,
no,
yeah.
no. Colorado, this was their second loss in a row, I believe. Yeah, they lost to Dallas the week before, and then drew with Houston and RSL. They've got a couple wins on the season, Doyle, but I'm underwhelmed and a bit disappointed by Colorado this season. What's your take on their start so far?
Yeah, I thought they actually played really well last week and just got kind of undone by that Brandon Cervania goal and
Mhm.
by their own inability to finish the chances that they were creating. And I think we saw a little of that tonight in the
Okay.
first half, but then they just kind of melted down in the second half. So that's one thing. And the other thing is like, there's been a joke among Colorado fans that every year for like the past 4 years, I've said their set piece dominance is unsustainable. And it's a joke because they have sustained it year after year after year. They have not yet sustained it this year. They have not been a particularly good team, or a particularly dominant team, I guess, on set pieces. And when you're talking about going into the year with no DPs and having sold guys like Kellen Acosta, like your margins are smaller, and set pieces is a place you have to dominate if you're gonna be a 60-point team like they were last year. And the fact that they're not is making it that much harder to turn those 1-0 leads into 2-0 leads. And once this team is up 2-0, they don't lose, or they don't drop points. So the margins have gotten thinner this year. And then the other thing is like Robin Fraser's kind of committed to this 3-4-2-1 formation with Jack Price and Mark Anthony Kaye playing deeper together. I'm not convinced it's working. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's bad, but like I still look at this team and I think that they'll probably be better in a 4-3-3. Get another midfielder out there, try to use the ball a little bit more. And I'm wondering if maybe this loss is the one that'll do it for Robin Fraser and say, yeah, you know what, it's time to change our shape up a little bit, get real wingers out there and stretch the field or horizontally as well as vertically.
They Charlotte is up next for them at home. So Colorado will be at home. Could that I mean it could be a good opportunity for
I
them,
mean,
Doyle.
if you're playing an expansion team at home, you should like the chances.
That's when you maybe make some changes.
Yeah.
Maybe try some things. I'm
Yeah.
just saying. This is why I only talk about things and I am not actually a coach because it's just I don't recommend doing anything I say. We had a bunch of 0-0 results tonight. Doyle, there was Atlanta, Cincinnati, 0-0. Houston, Portland, 0-0. Red Bulls, Dallas, 0-0. What else? Chicago Galaxy, another 0-0 result for Chicago. But one result that's worth mentioning in that Atlanta game, which was actually there was quite a few chances in that one, but you hate to see it. Brad Guzan went down. I mean, this is a guy you never see him go down with an injury, hardly ever. He always seems to be there
Mhm.
in the net, and to kind of see him get stretchered out with an apparent, I think the report is that it's an Achilles injury, which is not good. And Gonzalo Pineda spoke after the game. He wouldn't speculate, but he just said it doesn't look good. But what does this mean for Atlanta if Brad Guzan is going to miss a significant amount of time?
It's not good.
Yeah.
I know that he hasn't gotten off to a great start this year, but he was really really good for them last year.
Yeah.
Um, he's a veteran. He's a pro. He organizes his back line, and like that is necessary for a team that is not always organized on that back line, and it's not
Yeah.
clear who the vocal leader among those center backs are. And if it's a team that has to switch between a back three and a back four and a back five at times. So having a veteran goalkeeper in there. Now they do have Bobby Shuttleworth is likely to be the starter now if Guzan is if it's as bad as it seems, and it does seem like it's really bad. And Shuttleworth has been around, but there's a pretty big gap between Brad Guzan and Bobby Shuttleworth, and as Atlanta fans already have so much to worry about with injuries, and
yeah.
Add this one onto the pile, man.
Yeah, it's just such a bummer. Brad Guzan, he's 37 years old too, and the thing that scares me is that an Achilles injury can take a long time to heal. And when you're 37, yes, he's still young in real life terms, but in athlete terms, it's a little bit, it's tougher. It's a lot harder to come back from that. So we're just wishing him all the best, a speedy recovery, and we'll wait to get a definitive diagnosis on that. But as of now, it looks like Brad Guzan is likely to miss probably a significant amount of time for Atlanta United. I want to give a quick shout out, Doyle, to the prettiest goal that I saw tonight, which was from the Columbus Orlando.
Oh, yeah.
The goal from, was it Erkan? Who scored that one?
Was Erkan Kara? They're
yes.
Forward, yeah.
Oh, but the buildup, it was the second goal of the night for them. And that buildup was just, it was beautiful. I felt like I was watching like Champions League football. Like I was like, it was just delightful. It was just bing, bing, bing. Ah, so pretty. I loved every second of that. And Rodrigo Schlegel also scored, which also makes me happy because I will always hold him dear in my heart as the guy who came in as the goalkeeper and made a tremendous save in the playoffs against NYCFC as a defender, which you just love to see. So now he's basically he's played like every position on this team. He can be a striker now too.
Yeah, no, it was a good win. It was a really good win for this Orlando City team. I thought maybe it was one of their best performances of the year, kind of up and down. And the fact that they've been so solid now for a couple of games without Antonio Carlos, it's surprising. And it's got to be encouraging if you're Orlando City fan. If you're a Columbus fan,
yikes.
Panic mode, maybe? I mean,
you tweeted out something funny. You were like, listen, crew fans, if you want to apologize to me, go right ahead.
Crew fans got hot, right? Because they had that start to the season. They took 7 points from 3 games. They scored, I think, 9 goals in those games, and like half of them were Zelarayan shooting from 30 yards out, and that's great. But like we know that those types of goals dry up. Like those are not sustainable goals, and those goals have gone away. And I think Columbus have 1 goal in their last 4 games now. They have one goal. They've lost 3 in a row. 4 of their next 6 are on the road, and in the past 2.5 years, they only have 3 road wins. So like this
wow.
We're not at a crisis point yet. There's still so much season left to be played. But like Caleb Porter's got to figure some stuff out here.
Holy moly, that just blew my mind, Doyle.
Yeah,
man, I didn't know it was that bleak.
They don't do anything outside of Columbus, man. They travel well.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Then listen, you were right. Crew fans were wrong. They were bamboozled. No, we'll see. Listen, it's a long season. Everybody, just remember that. But yeah, it's not the best statistic ever. But for now, Doyle, any final thoughts on our MLS After Dark?
Just cheers.
Just cheers. Yeah. Cheers to your Fournette. Guys, thanks for tuning in. There's a whole bunch of, we got a couple games on tap tomorrow. I believe we have NYCFC taking on RSL, and then we have LAFC hosting Sporting Kansas City. So you guys will definitely want to check those out tomorrow afternoon, 1 p.m. Eastern and 4 p.m. Eastern. That LAFC SKC game on ESPN and ESPN Deportes. But thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday night, everybody. We'll see you soon.